Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Imam Zainul Abidin, let me start with this beautiful dua. Before I start, inshallah, Imam Zainul Abidin, in one of his du'as, he says, Ilahi, how can I be happy when I disobeyed you and I have sinned? But how can I be sad when I have known you? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه الأخيار المنتجبين وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأقم الصلاة لذكري. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Of course, Salat is one of the most fundamental obligatory acts of worship in Islam. Now, the topic that I want to discuss in this talk is, I think, a very profound and very important topic. And as well, it could be something that we all could face, or we all could know people who might face. And that topic is abandoning Salat. Abandoning Salat. Yes? Some people might reach a stage where they think that, okay, look, I'm not convinced of Salat. Or thinking that when I feel I want to pray, I pray. But the weeks or months that I feel I don't want to pray, I want to stop praying. Or some people might, God forbid, say, okay, look, I want to abandon Salat altogether. So this talk is directed to these people. And inshallah, of course, I direct it to myself too. If at any point in time in the future I have these thoughts, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these help me too. So what I will talk about now is something that I would recommend anyone who would think or would have these thoughts to think about before abandoning Salat. Yeah? Because for us, of course, we believe Salat is, as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, As-salat qurratu ayn al-mu'min. Yes? Salat, nure, chashme, mu'min ast. Yes, prayers is the apple of the eye of the believer. It is the thing that we use to ascend to God, to be nearer to God, to be content in this world, to give us peace, to give us connection to God, to obey God. But of course, as I said, sometimes people might, let's say, lapse or regress. So what I'll mention first is some possible reasons that might drive people to think like this. Yes, might drive people to think like, I'm not convinced of Salat, it's not use of me, it's not for me, and things like that. Of course, as a Muslim, yeah. So first, these thoughts, when they come, they mean that there is a gap somewhere in faith. What do I mean? That there is a gap in the true faith in God, in the true belief in God, that God is there, my relationship towards God, the relationship of God with this world. Yes? So thoughts like this show that those people or that person might not have appreciated what faith is. What do I mean? Sometimes we think that faith or belief or being mu'min is emotions. Yes, is emotions. Some people accuse believers to say that they actually believe in God because they fear things, therefore they invented something so that they can feel safe. As if God is something that is not out there and we invented him. Yes? Some people might have these thoughts that, yes, science is advancing now. Yes, we don't need God. And this is some of the, arguments that some people propose. And of course, it is false. Yes? Science, if it has to do anything, it will actually reaffirm our faith in God or our belief in God. Why? Because our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our iman does not start from delusion, as some accuse the believers. Yes? Our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually starts with the intellect. It starts with us actually pondering, reflecting, analyzing everything around us in this world. This is where we come to realize that this world actually exists. It has someone who brought it to existence, right? And the more science advances, the more we realize how great that creator is. Yes, the more we realize the origin of all this. So this is where I said, actually, faith and iman, yes, it actually starts from the intellect. And this is the Quran. The Quran mentioned a lot of these instances or situations. أَفَلَا يَنظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Go and look how the animals were made. Go and look how the mountains are created. Yes? And this is the world that we see, the world that we don't know, we still don't know. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the treasures in the seas or the oceans, I mean, a few hundred years back, what did we know about oceans? What did we know about the realms, the whole different universe that is under there, right? This only actually satisfies our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, when this starts at the intellect, it actually causes us to have a strong conviction that what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this existence. That my position in this world is one of this existence. I am actually a very weak existing person. I am submissive to the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. I am weak. I am in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if anything. So this faith that actually is founded on sound arguments, sound intellectual thoughts, yes, that's a strong faith. And this is where our faith starts. It is not like, yes, you're mu'min, if you say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammad Rasulullah, just have it in your heart without actually anything that is related to your intellect. No, that doesn't work. That faith doesn't last. It will fade really quickly. So these thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about the creator, yes, these translate to our heart. And this is what faith is. Faith is not just thoughts. Faith is thoughts that are translated to our heart, that we really sense God, that we really feel God. We really appreciate and live and feel our need of God. When we look at all this universe, it's something in the existence. We feel how weak we are. Yes, we acknowledge, and this is where there's a lot of narrations, they say, reflect on yourself, then you'll realize your Lord. Reflect on yourself. See what you are in this world. And that would guide you to actually this appreciation of your neediness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't be anything without God. You can't do anything without God. So, it is basically the thoughts that translate into our heart and from our heart into our actions. Yeah? You can't claim that, let's say, and you start professing, I like school and I like education and I love it. But okay, what are you doing to learn? Are you opening a book to learn about, the world, to learn about Islam, to learn about whatever you claim you love? So it has to translate into action too. Now, this is where worship helps us. This is where salat helps us. Salat and worship, they allow us to actually manifest our faith in God, which we founded on our intellectual appreciation. It allows us to affirm that also in our hearts. Yeah? When you pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you do the acts of worship, one of the reasons that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed these for us is so that actually this iman gets stuck into our hearts. Because the things you do, they shape your character. The things you do, they shape who you are. That's an interesting example always, when you give charity once, the act is generous. You've done a generous act. But does that make you a generous person? When do you become a generous person? When you give charity, not just once, not twice, right? More and more and more until it becomes a habit in you. When you control your anger once, does that make you a halim person, a patient person in control? Well, that act was a good act. But in order for you to transform, to have this virtue, you need to practice it again and again and again. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed for us these acts of worship. This is one reason, of course. Inshallah, I'll touch upon other reasons. A verse in the Quran, chapter 49, verse 14 says, قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. The Bedouins say, we have believed, we have faith. Say to them, no, you don't have faith. Huh? You have submitted, you've surrendered, you've said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, by your tongue. You're Muslim. But Iman is something else. That hasn't reached your heart. How does it reach your heart? Yeah, by practice, by allowing these, this Islam, the intellectual Islam, to actually get entrenched and get really fixed in your heart by practice. So there is always this loop between what you think of, what you feel, what your convictions hold, and what you manifest as practice. They all feed into each other. Huh? Each one of these feeds into the other, or feeds the other, or grows the other. So that's one reason why people might think, look, Salat, I want to abandon Salat. Another reason, people sometimes, worry about Salat. In what sense? Sometimes our brain, it thinks a lot of negativity or negative things. Yeah, I think maybe we all have been there at some point in time, whereby you feel you're haunted with negative thoughts. Yeah, maybe subhanAllah, it's a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in us so that we actually anticipate danger, so we calculate and right, so it has benefit. But sometimes people get trapped in their minds, right? Sometimes people get trapped. So some say, for example, Salat is just disruptive. My day is ruined. Why? Because I had to interrupt my work twice for Salat al-Dhuhr and then Salat al-Asr. It just ruined my day. Oh, really? So 15 minutes spread across the 24 hours, that ruined your day. Yeah. But no, sometimes we convince ourselves of some negative thoughts. We convince ourselves. We say, yeah, it is that, actually. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet wants you to work, wants you to be successful, wants you to earn a decent living, isn't it? We all know, or we hear about this, the story of those companions of the Prophet who, when the verse was revealed, وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ, it is in the heavens your sustenance and what you're being promised. It is there for you. Some people, what did they do? They stopped work. They went to the mountains, secluded themselves, retreated. And people told the Prophet, "Oh Prophet, did you see what these people said, what these people did?" And he rebuked them. It is not this way. وَفِي السَّمَاءِ رِزْقُكُمْ وَمَا تُوعَدُونَ. No, go work, go mingle with your families, go observe kinship. Yes? So they misunderstood it. Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to work and doesn't want to disrupt your work. But this is shaitan. Shaitan sometimes, actually, on the other extreme, it comes to someone and it starts instilling fear in the heart. ذَلِكَ الشَّيْطَانِ يُخَوِّفُ بِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَهُ, as the Quran says. Shaitan sometimes, enters your mind and makes you see things as negative, makes you see this, this salat that is 17 rak'ahs a day, it is ruining your day, for example. So sometimes we are captivated by our delusions. And this is why I want to say that if someone out there, is thinking to leave salat because of this reason, think again. Actually, Allah in the Quran, told us how he finished Pharaoh. And وَلِنَجْعَلَكَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً, I think it says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kept his body so that all the people see that Pharaoh died. Pharaoh, who presented himself as the mightiest Lord, the greatest God. People thought that he was a God, and he presented himself as a God. And people believed him as a God, and they took him as a God maybe. Okay, what was wrong there? There was something fundamentally wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that, look, you can be delusioned. So don't be entrapped in your negativity or negative judgment of some things. A third reason could be that, some people might think, salat, what is the purpose of salat? Spiritual happiness? Okay, I can do that with meditation. Yeah, that's a new thing now. Actually, it's an ancient thing. But some people have been introduced to it recently. Meditation is good, breathe in this way, breathe out in that fashion and so on. And that gives you certain tranquility, right? And it does, of course. I'm not going to deny this, regardless of the origins of it. I'm not going to deny it. But some people think that it is an alternative to salat. And salat, the goal of both is the same. So that could be a reason. Of course, this shows that if a person thinks like that, they haven't really appreciated what salat is. They thought that salat is a spiritual exercise, and that's it. Right? and therefore I can replace it with another spiritual exercise. So this is something that needs to be corrected. Inshallah, I'll come back to it towards the end. Another reason, some people might think, what is this format of salat? Standing, ruku', sujood. Yeah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need my salat. Why should I do this in the first place? Yeah? So they're not kind of convinced that this is the way that you show, let's say, obedience to God, and God does not need it. I could show obedience to God in some other way. I can do charity in that time. I can do that good thing instead of, wasting 15 minutes and 24 hours in prayers. Some people might think like that. So the format, they're not convinced that the format is actually a format that one should pray to God with. Another reason is that in this modern world we're living in, some people might think that, I'll be judged. My outlook just doesn't befit. Yeah, I go to work, and a tech company, people are smart, right? Or a research center, people are very, mashallah, intelligent, scientific, and very fact-oriented, right? And data-oriented, and so on. And they see me praying, right? It's not a modern thing. It's an ancient thing, this kind of prayers. So some people might have these thoughts too. Number 6, another reason it could be that, look, I am not benefiting from salat. I'm doing salat, but I don't have khushu'. I don't have humility in salat. Yeah, my heart is not really present. So I feel like I'm doing just actions without any benefit. So let me abandon it altogether. Yeah, because this is, useless. That's what people could say. Now, of course, who said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He obligated prayers, He expected that everyone would be focusing on every single word they would be saying, right? I think most of us, inshallah, none of you, I'll talk about myself, yeah, many people are like what in salat? Allahu Akbar, and then in 1 second, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, right? What happened in between? God knows. Where did my mind go? God knows. Yeah, it went everywhere. It went upstairs. It went in the cabin, the cupboard, the kitchen, the business. It went to the school. The exams I have tomorrow. The car is not working. All that, subhanallah, just comes in between Allahu Akbar and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Subhanallah, for some reason. Yeah, we're humans. We're weak. I'm not saying it is good. Let's keep it like that, right? It is an area of improvement that everyone has, right? But it is not something that would justify someone to say, look, I'm not benefiting from salah, let me just leave it altogether. Yeah, that's not a responsible response of someone who wants to make a successful life out of their lives, isn't it? Number 7, some people might say, look, I'm sinful anyway. I'm sinful. I do sins. I disobey God, maybe secretly, maybe publicly. And they say, so I want to be in harmony with my inner self. So I can't pray while at the other times I'm disobeying God. I'm doing this sin or that sin. So what's the point then? Yeah, what's the point? There's a kind of hypocrisy. I don't want to be a hypocrite. So some people might think also in this way. Now, of course, before you abandon salat, listen to these points, right? So what I mentioned so far, they are interesting points, I would say. And again, it could be any one of us who might think some of these points at some point in our lives. But let's listen to these few points, before any of us or myself or anyone listening considers that or decides that I want to leave salat or stop salat. Number 1, we need to understand that iman, faith, that you are a believer, a good believer, that doesn't happen overnight. And it's not like a package of nur that comes from the heavens and you either get it or you don't. Yeah? Iman is a journey. To get that faith in God, the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, right? This intellectual, or this thought about God, and then transforming that thought into our heart, and then exemplifying that from our heart into actions. It sounded maybe easy when I said it, but it actually is not. Yeah? People spend all their lives until the last breath they give actually trying to reach that stage. No one claimed it's an easy journey. Nor is it an impossible journey. It's a challenging one. Challenge is good in life. Yeah, it's a challenging one. I don't want to say it's a hard journey or, unpleasant journey. No, it's a very pleasant journey, actually. It's a challenging one. Challenge is good. So having faith to reach a stage where you have iman is actually a workshop. Yeah? It's a boot camp. It's a boot camp. It needs to have planning, right? It needs to have a program. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe He gave us that program. When He told us, pray 5 times every day. What is that? Isn't that a boot camp for us, spiritual? When He told us, look, in a year, there's 30 days, fast in them when you can. Huh? What is this? Once a year, go to Hajj. What is this? What are these things? Around the clock that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, prescribed for us. Give zakat, for example, this way. Yeah? Prayers of Jumu'ah every week. Laylatul Jumu'ah there, Thursday night. So what are these stations that Allah has put for us? Isn't this a program? So that, we ascend and we keep developing. Because if this was easy, why do we have to do all this throughout our lifetime? Why? So Allah acknowledges that it is not something that happens overnight. Yeah? It is not something that happens overnight. It requires planning. And this way, actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to guarantee for us that your spiritual development, your personal development does not stop. It does not stop. Look at the figures in Islam who we have. The Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Yeah? Until the final moment, no one ever claimed that, yes, alhamdulillah, I'm saved. Yeah? We hear that when the Prophet told Imam Ali salamullah alayhi that, oh Ali, you will be killed in this month, in this way, in the mosque, and so on. And Imam Ali asked him a really, really mind-blowing question. He said, O Prophet, Abi Salamatin min dini, will my faith be safe on that moment? Huh? Maybe someone else would have thought, oh, I'm a Khalifa of the Prophet. I am the brother of the Prophet. I am Amirul Mu'mineen. I have that history. I have done this in Khaybar. I have done this. I am married to Lady Fatima. I am this. I am that. I have done all this. I am dying in the mosque of God, on the way of God. So I'm saved. Obviously I'm safe. No, until the last moment. Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. What is that? He never said it before. Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. So it is an everlasting journey for an individual, right? To achieve high levels of faith. Yeah. So this is something that I think needs to be made clear to set people's expectations. So that's number one, that belief, faith, iman is a boot camp. It's not something that you get for free overnight. Number two, I would recommend anyone listening and thinking of leaving salat is not to overthink about salat and its negative effects on his or her schedule. Okay? Sometimes, again, you would want that you wake up and live the reality. They say don't live in your mind, live in your reality. And probably, I think we've experienced that. I personally can relate a lot. Sometimes you overthink about someone, let's say. Oh, what are they thinking of me? How did that come across when I said this? How did that come across when I did that? And then you ask people, did you notice something I did or said? And no one would have actually noticed. Yeah, no one would have noticed. That's something I actually have a conversation with my wife sometimes after I talk here. I feel so conscious of myself. Sometimes I've been talking for half an hour. Throughout my time, half an hour, 45 minutes, I think always that I'm doing a terrible job. I've said something wrong. And it might happen. But I overthink it. And when I run it by someone else, they say no, that's not as you're describing. So I'm sure a lot of us maybe relate. Sometimes you overthink things. So no, go and put it under test, basically. If you think salat is messing up your schedule, okay, think about it. Do you really want to work 8 hours non-stop? Is that healthy for you even? Do you want that life for yourself? 10 hours, 12 hours of non-stop work? No 2 minutes, 4 minutes for Salat al-Dhuhr, for example, Salat al-Asr? Do you not want to have some break that would allow you to just reflect? Take a pause, take a break? Science now says that it is good. Now and before, it is a good thing for you to take a pause and reflect. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, إِذَا هِبْتَ أَمْرًا فَقَعْ فِيهِ. When you fear something, if you're worried about something, go put yourself in it, in that situation, and see that it is less serious than what you thought of, or your thoughts. It's much less serious than your thoughts. He says, إِذَا هِبْتَ أَمْرًا فَقَعْ فِيهِ فَإِنَّ شِدَّةَ تَوَقِّيهِ أَعْظَمْ مِمَّا تَخَافُ مِنْهِ. The worry in your head is bigger than the reality, what it is actually. So no, do salat, keep doing salat, but acknowledge that the time that is taken from your schedule, it is not the thing that is disrupting your schedule. Maybe there's some other thing. Try to identify, try to be fair, try to judge. And of course, Allah wants you to fix your schedule and not to be disrupted, but try to find and pinpoint and diagnose the real reason. And don't accuse salat when you're not sure. And of course, don't judge from, praying once. Sometimes people, let's say, if they are starting salat now because they haven't been used to it, it might be difficult to maintain that frequency of salat. Need to do salat subh, salat dhuhr, salat asr. It might be difficult in the beginning, and this is where some people might judge that. In the beginning, they say, okay, that's not for me. For example, let's say, they did tawbah to Allah, they returned to Allah and they started praying, or they, let's say, converted or reverted. So don't judge from the first day or 2 days or 1 week or 3 weeks. Inshallah, it gets better and easier, and make the right judgment. So that's the second thing. Don't live in your head. Live the reality. Number 3, practices such as meditation, yoga, yes? So these, and again, regardless of their origin, if they have a good effect that helps you to control your mind, control your thoughts. Remember when I said about salat, when we do Allahu Akbar, when we say Allahu Akbar, our mind just flies right and left. If you want to practice some things that would allow you to control your mind, and salat is not helping you, it is okay. Try these. Practice self-control. Practice mind control. That's good. But always remember that the purpose that this is serving is different from the purpose that salat is serving. Meditation, yes, it calms you down, right? It allows you to relax, for example, to be in control. It trains you. It has a lot of benefits. Fine. But remember that it is not exactly as salat. Meaning that if you abandon salat for the sake of meditation, yoga, or any other practices, you're missing out on something. You're missing out on something. Inshallah, I'll mention also in some time. Of course, in our fiqh, there are recommendations that if you want to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try to remove anything around you that would distract you. Try to pray somewhere where you're not distracted. Don't pray, for example, in the middle of the street, because it's busy, buzzy, you won't really focus. It's very difficult. Don't pray, for example, next to the window. In the past, there wasn't like buildings, high buildings, so the window was literally, overlooking the street. So it's busy. Yeah? Don't pray where there is a mirror in front of you, because that would distract you. Or where there is any kind of music or any kind of sound or noise that is... So try to distance yourself from that to help yourself focus, to help yourself, maintain that focus in salat. So there are recommendations, which means that there is an acknowledgement from the Sharia that we get distracted when we pray. So we need to do our best to not get distracted. If meditation, yoga helps you, do it so that you practice salat, so that you practice focus in salat. But don't abandon salat, because the benefits of salat are far more than the benefits of other spiritual exercises or mental exercises. Number 4 or 5, let me say, because 4 was that this is, they are not a replacement. So these exercises do not replace salat. They're good, they have benefit, inshallah, but they do not replace salat. Number 5, the format. Yes, standing up, ruku', sujood, these movements. Yeah, that is important. That is important. Even if you could not focus, that still is important. If you think that if you're not focusing, then all these actions that you're doing have no effect, you're wrong. Even if you're not focusing. Yes, salat has a great effect, even if you're not focusing. If you're focusing and if your heart is present 20%, then you gain 20% on top of what you gain when you do the actions of salat. These actions, the reason we do them is that simply we are obeying God. We believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to do them. It is a way for us actually to manifest our obedience to God, our servitude to God only and God alone. Some ask, okay, look, when you eat meat, what's really the difference between halal meat and haram meat? Can you tell me? Do you know what the difference is?
You kill it a different way.
Let's say we slaughter the animal in the same way. But what makes it halal? Yes?
It's cleaner.
No, not cleanliness. So let's say 2 animals, one is clean Both are clean, okay? So one we slaughter in a halal way, in the same way, you put the knife in the same way. And the other also we do it in the same way, put the knife in the same way. But one will be halal and the other haram. Why? Yes, there. No, not because it's a haram animal. Let's say the same animal. Let's say it's both sheep. Aha. Did you hear that? Hamza, yes. You remember the name of God. You say the name of God. Huh? One word. A word. Okay, someone might say, really? Okay, just saying a word, is that really what makes it halal? Yes, that's what makes it halal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to train us that if we have to serve someone, if we have to be slaves of someone or something in this world, it has to be God. If it is not Allah, it is something else. It will be something else. There's a verse in the Quran that says, وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ. If you do not obey God, you are obeying some other shaitan. Might be yourself. Huh? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through all this religious system that we have, the Muslim system, which is basically Abrahamic religion. It is the religion of God, religion of oneness of God, unity, tawheed. All this system wants you to be someone who is free. When you are free from anything around you, when you're free from money, when you're not a slave of money, when you're not a slave of your job, your wealth, when you're not a slave of desires, those control you right and left and command you. When you're not a slave of your own self, that, I want to do this sin because I'm weak, I can't control myself. That's you being a slave of your own self. Remember, with Shaykh Ihsan, intellect has to be governing your desires, your anger, your imagination. You have to be in control. Your intellect has to be in control. Not your body or desires, they take you wherever they want. Just because you feel you want it. Yeah? I like to listen to the music that is haram. I like it. Well, Habibi, what happened to your intellect? You're able to control your hearing. You're able to go somewhere else or cover your ears. Well, I like gossip. It's just so nice. It feels so nice when I hear people talking about others. But you're in control. You should be better than that. You should actually be able to stand up and leave if this happens, because that's better for you. So this is you being a master over your own self. Not yourself enslaving you. Right? If you are someone who is enslaved by other things, who is shackled by other things, wealth, money, friends, reputation, fame, all this, it means that you're not a slave of God. When you abandon God, you become slave of these. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to be servants of Allah, the only, the creator of the universe, the sustainer of the universe, the origin of our existence, our sustainer, the one who sustains every single second of our lives. Allah wants you, if you have to obey something or someone in this world, it has to be God. When you are like this, you're a free man. You are free from anything else. You cannot be humiliated by anything else. No tyrant, no Yazid, no shaitan, no desires, no money can humiliate you. You are in control. That's what Hussein alayhi salam displayed. He was in control. But the opposite people who fought him, they were not in control. The money was in control. They were slaves to money. They were not slaves to God. Hussein was a servant of God. That's really the reason why we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this format. He wanted us to actually be so full of conviction that we obey God, whatever it is. Opposite of our desires, we do it. Wake up for Salat al-Subh, although it is cold. Do wudu with the cold water sometimes. Break that beautiful, tasty sleep. Yes, God, I would do it for you. I break my own desire because I am not a slave of my desires. I am a slave of you only. You transform. You become a strong person. Nothing in the world can shake you or break you. That's what Allah wants from us. Some people miss this out. Some people think that, what does Allah want from me? He wants nothing from you. He wants you to be successful. He wants you to appreciate happiness, to be happy, to be content, to live in peace in this world and in the next, in the real life. He cares about you so much that He did all this for you. And it would be really beautiful if you appreciate it. When the Prophet, who used to pray that much in the night, or do sujood for that long in the night, yeah, one of his wives says, "Oh Prophet, why do you do this to yourself? You're good, you're saved." And he says, "But should I not be thankful?" When you observe and realize that Allah has given you all this, an'am, all these blessings, despite the hardships are also opportunities for you to ascend and escalate. Yeah? When you appreciate this, do you not pray at least? أَفَلَا أَكُونَ عَبْدًا شَكُورًا? Should I not be thankful to God for everything that He has given me? So this is something that we should remember when we think about abandoning salat. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Examples is, for example, Salatul Jum'ah, let's say, or when there is congregational prayers, Salatul Jama'ah. Yeah? Do I close my shop to go for Salatul Jum'ah, for example? Or do I think, no, this hour I will lose rizq? Where is your faith in God? Where is the true faith in God? That God actually brings you the rizq. Allah says about Salatul Jum'ah that it is better for you if you know. فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. So you actually train yourself to do as God says. Although you think sometimes with your material thinking that, it is not beneficial for me. No, it is beneficial for you to close your shop, take a break from your work, of course, without hardship, assuming, and you go for Salatul Jum'ah. Shaitan, his problem was that actually in the beginning. Shaitan, they say, Iblis, he worshipped God for ages, they say. One sajda for like 6,000 years, according to some narrations. And it is not known that these years, whether they are the years of this world or the next world or another world. Iblis was a worshipper. But where did he fail? He failed because he told God, I don't want to do sajda to this person. I want to do sajda to you. So I want to worship you, O God, like I want. Not like you want. That was the mistake. That was the thing that put him in loss. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to not be like this, basically. Another thing is, it's a nice example actually, that when you are lost in a desert, middle of the desert, how do you get guided? Middle of the sea, middle of the ocean, how do you get guidance to know where you want to go? Do you not need landmarks? Do you not need stars? Do you not need signs where, that could tell you go this way, go that way, to tell you where you are? You would need these. In our spiritual journey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the ghaib. Allah knows what is good for us. Allah knows what is good for our spirit. So Allah placed these landmarks for us, these signs for us, these stars for our spiritual existence. He told us, look, every day, do this on Fajr, do this on Dhuhr, Noon, do this in Asr, do this in Maghrib. Fast like this, do zakat like this, go to Hajj and do these actions like this and that. These are the landmarks for us not to get lost in our spirituality. Not to go right and left and things, take us right and left. Again, we stay in control of our journey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your journey, how it should be, what is healthy for it, and therefore He prescribed these. The last few points I'll mention is that salat is a remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is something, number 6, that I want anyone who would be thinking to leave salat to remember, that salat is a remembrance of God, really. Why Allah prescribed this for us? Because we tend to forget. We are forgetful creation. We are forgetful creation. This is why Allah sends us the dhikr, sends us Quran as dhikr, a reminder. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to pray 5 times every day, not once every week. Because if it was once every week, we would forget Allah in the rest of the week. We forget. We tend to deviate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us, created us like this. We have a tendency to do good, we have a tendency to do bad. If there is nothing that reminds us all the time to do good, and reminds us of who we are, our identity, we are servants of God. If there's nothing that reminds you of that, what guarantees you that you will not actually go far and really far on the way of evil? We see communities these days. What made some communities go really far in the way of corruption? What is it? It's because they abandoned the remembrance of God altogether. Altogether. And now it is not only them who would face the consequences, it is them and their children and the next generations. When Ibrahim, for example, Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam says, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. Oh God, make me of those who establish prayers and my progeny. Why? Because if you think abandoning salat starts with you, it doesn't end with you. It is your progeny too. You're judging, you're preventing them, you're prohibiting them, you're denying them the opportunity to appreciate what this salat is, only because you misjudged and you wanted to stop salat. Huh? So it is not only yourself that you're affecting also generations after you, people who look up to you. So this is also a very important point. The last point is that salat is educational. Salat is educational. Salat every day for you is an opportunity for you to perform a retrospective about your life, about your day. You stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you acknowledge what you've done in the day, something that is in line with His will or not. Salat is educational for you in the sense that it reminds you of everything that you believe in. When you say Allahu Akbar, every day in salat, Allahu Akbar, God is greater. You're reminding yourself, you're educating yourself that yes, Allah is greater than this tyrant, greater than this zalim. Allah is greater than anyone who would want to tempt me, or anyone who would want to terrify me or terrorize me. Allah is greater. It reminds you of the central position of God in existence and that He is in control. Allah is greater than me. Allah's will over my will. That's Allahu Akbar. You remind yourself of all the Islamic teachings, all the usuluddin are in salat. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدْ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينَ. We worship only you, God. We obey only you, nothing else. No Yazid I would obey. No, I wouldn't obey, money or my desire of liking this car or, this kind of lust here or... No. You remind yourself every day your educational system. What your position is, what your convictions are, what your beliefs are. This is where it's important to understand what you're saying in salat. Right? So I urge myself and everyone actually to go and try to understand the words that we're saying, what they mean, and this would help us in this focus activity that we will, inshallah, attempt to better ourselves in. I hope that, inshallah, this was beneficial. I hope that it was beneficial for everyone here and anyone listening. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to appreciate the true meaning of salat. Because this is what I mentioned, is what we think, what we have reached about the importance of salat. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most knowledgeable and He knows what we don't know.